That afternoon, the troops walked through miles of pine forest and river bottoms. That afternoon, the troops walked through miles of pine forest and river bottom, watched by hundreds of curious locals who came out of their houses eager to get a look at the troops and their notorious prisoners. Having crossed the Chattahoochee and entered Forsyth, the regiment reached the outskirts of town just as the sun was going down. Catron called the march to a halt, and as his command echoed down the line, the militiamen shrugged off their knapsacks and bedrolls, pitched their white canvas pup tents, and established a camp perimeter on land that had been volunteered, Catron was told by the local sheriff. It was widely reported that the mountaineers of North Georgia were once again flooding into coming for the trials, many of them armed and prepared to make trouble. So when a group of civilians appeared out of the darkness at the edge of the camp, a nervous sentry called, "Who goes there?" It was surprised to find before him, with their hands raised, not overall-clad farmers, but a group of gentlemen wearing the spectacles and fine wool suits of attorneys at law. Tonight, a reporter wrote, Judge Morris, Sheriff Reed, Fred Morris of Marietta, John Collins, and Howell Brooke of Canton came to the camp from Cumming. As soon as they were recognized, the men asked to speak privately with the 6 prisoners. There are no reports of exactly why such a visit was made, what was discussed, or how long it lasted, but the appearance of Judge Morris and defense attorney Fred Morris at the campfire meeting raises a number of questions. Corruption, and people act like here in 2024 it just came to a halt. No, baby. Anyways, Lance Contaña. There was nothing unusual, of course, about a judge and an attorney meeting with defendants on the eve of a trial. But this particular judge and this particular attorney are now known to have participated in one of the most brazen acts of mob violence in American history. The 1915 kidnapping and murder of Leo Frank, a Jewish man who was convicted of the rape and murder of a young white girl named Mary Fagan. Judge Newton Morris, former Governor Joseph Mackey Brown, prosecutor Eugene Herbert Clay, and defense attorney Fred Morris were all involved. Newt Morris was, in fact, the mastermind of Frank's abduction from the state penitentiary, but he pretended to have arrived just minutes after the lynching and persuaded journalists, including a reporter for the New York Times, that it was he who had prevented the crowd from burning Frank's body. These jokers got away with motherfreaking just lying. From that sheriff sitting here talking about it was him that protected the black men that were being held in the jail as the lynch mob came, when it was actually his subordinate, Sheriff Loomis. Now you got this guy, right along with several other attorneys and motherfreaking a judge, breaking out a man, kidnapping him and murdering him. And then this nigga trying to lie, talking about he had just got there. Man. Talking about he had prevented the crowd from burning. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Jesus help us, Lord. Just 3 years after the trials at Forsyth, Morris would manage to both lynch a man and become famous for having stood up to a mob. Harold Willingham, a local lawyer who knew him well, said that Morris was powerful and widely respected during his lifetime. But in private, many people in Marietta knew a different man. That sounds about right, because I done came across several raggedy motherfreaking judges and lawyers, man. And they ain't the only ones out here that's raggedy, because the Bible says ain't none good but the Father. The Bible says there's none good but the Father. I'm saying ain't none good but the Father. Let's continue. Harold Willingham, a local lawyer who knew him well, said that Morris was powerful and widely respected during his lifetime. But in private, many people in Marietta knew him as a different man. He was, said Willingham, a 14-carat son of a bitch with spare parts. Jane, Oscar, and Ernest could not have known that the judge hearing their cases would soon preside over a lynching in the woods outside Marietta. But they must have realized just how unlikely it was that they would ever receive justice from the all-white juries of Forsyth. Now, although they are not aware that the judge overseeing their case presided over a lynching, But the thing that I find interesting is that people try to say that absolute immunity and all these other protections that have been put into place to protect judges were to just solidify their positions and give them, you know, the ability and the autonomy to utilize their discretion without feeling the need to damper down or, you know what I'm saying, like dilute their discretion, their decision making. And so it's been awarded to judges absolute immunity, which basically means that they are not to be held accountable, especially civilly, nor and a lot of times criminally, for actions that they commit while sitting in their seats, doing their job, performing their jobs. And it's not unlikely and it's not uncommon, even here in 2024, where we are just about every case that exists has some type of judge presiding them over it or an attorney on it that has some immoral, unethical, and motherfreaking just deliberately corrupt tendencies. But I digress. Let's continue because I'm trying to finish this. I gotta go eat. I'm hungry. I ain't had breakfast yet. Anyways. If you want people to think otherwise of you more positively, then give them more positive experiences.